Welcome everyone to the Into the Wild League, the last game of Week 3. And as always, we are saving best for last. We're joined today by Wildcard and Craig of Canada. And joining me on the mic is my co-caster, Shokunin. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty well, Blue Train. How are you?
I'm well and looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yes, we've got an exciting match here before us between Craig of Canada and Wildcard. Let's go over Craig's deck. He's going to be playing the Dragon Reno Priest. It looks like Tesmazet's build. An Enzoth Control Warrior. I think that deck credit goes to Awdragon. And then he's got a Secret Hunter. Wildcard's going to be playing an Even Shaman, an Odd Rogue, and a Star Aligner Druid. So we've got some pretty interesting matchups here depending on how they queue them. There's some good counters. Let's move on to the format and the rules.
Absolutely.
All right. The Into the Wild League utilizes the innovative format introduced by the United Hearthstone League. Matches are played once per week in a best-of-5 conquest format. Each player will bring 3 decks. There are no bans. The players are required to win with all 3 classes to achieve a victory. Every other week there will be a deck building challenge with unique rules. All matches use the Wild format. The players are required to bring all 9 classes, 3 per week. There are no bans, as we said before. Week 1 we went through, the players chose any of the 3 classes and any deck they wanted to bring. Week 2 we had deck building challenges. And then week 3 they're bringing their last 3 remaining classes with no deck restrictions. Week 4 the class selection will reset and players are again free to choose from all 9 classes and so on. And once a class has been used or selected during a particular week, that class may not be used again until the reset. Remaining classes have to be selected, even if the player did not get to use that class in his or her matches.
Yeah, so this is week 3, so these will be the final 3 classes for these 2 players. There's no special building rules today. I like this matchup because I think that this is a lineup that a lot of people could relate to. Wildcard's bringing 3 decks that are a very common sight on ladder, kind of like the who's who of tier 1 right now. But Craig of Canada, interestingly enough, has the 3 main counters to those decks. So we're going to want to see Craig of Canada queue that Awdragon's Control Warrior into the Starliner Druid. That deck is built primarily to disrupt that game plan with the Dirty Rats and the Death Lords. The Reno Priest is a strong counter against the Even Shaman with lots of stabilization tools, board clears, health gain, etc. The Dragon package is really good at staving off aggression. And finally, that Hunter list, whose credit I believe goes to Spiral, actually is quite well positioned against Rogue. The Candle Shot is really good at cleaning up early minions, and the Secret package could out-tempo that Rogue when it draws well. So I think the choices that the players make in terms of what decks they're going to queue is going to be really important to grind out that victory. So Shokunin, any predictions what you think Wildcard and Craig are going to choose to queue with to start with?
It's pretty tough. If I were playing, I'd probably go if I was wild card. I'd probably try that Star Aligner Druid first, and Craig will probably. I think based on last week, he'll probably play the Secret Hunter first because he played his aggressive match first with that Quest Rogue.
So if
So
I
that's my
were
prediction: Secret Hunter
yeah,
and Star Aligner. That's what I'm thinking.
If I were Craig, I would probably agree that Starliner would be a good choice. So if that were the case, I might lean more towards the Warrior, which also doesn't have a terrible matchup against the Shaman either. But who knows? They might get into some mind games and try to out out predict each other, right? So I think it's is anyone's guess. I'm going to go ahead and signal the 2 players to go ahead and get into game, and we
All
will
right.
see how we fare with our predictions. For those who've been watching the league regularly, they'll know that my ability to predict the future is abysmal. So please stand by. All right, so I've sent the signal. I believe they'll be getting into game any moment. Um, you know, while we wait for the two players to get into game, talk a little bit about the secret hunter list. I've been trying to ladder with this specific list this month thus far, and have not been faring so well. I think that it's incredibly powerful, but very draw dependent, and we do see that our two players are getting into game.
Yes. I've not played the Secret Hunter list at all, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It does have Deathstalker Rexar at the top end, several secrets, couple trackings, quick shot, the Cloaked Huntress, and the Secret Keeper is a good combination after he can play Subject 9, possibly.
So I
All
did
right.
see a Hex in Wildcards list, which is an interesting choice, not that commonly seen, and doesn't line up super well with Craig's Hunter list. Be an interesting game here, although I would say that the Even Shaman probably does have the edge in this matchup.
So it looks like Wild Card can probably play the Jade's Claw and clear that threat in the Secret Keeper here. That is probably the best play for him to not let Craig buff that up any. So Craig's got a handful of secrets and a weapon.
Yeah, Candle Shot's a really good choice. Like I said, it does a good job at clearing out the early minions, and with the two Hunters marks, will prove itself to be quite valuable if Wildcard gets the Flame Wreath Faceless or the Sea Giants online as well.
So it'd be interesting to see. Craig elects to go with the cat trick, so he's planning on Wildcard playing some form of spell first to try and trigger that. Wildcard's hand is a little clunky. He can hero power. He can't play anything on curve because he is overloaded for the 1 mana.
Yeah, Hero Power is probably his best choice. Discounts the thing from below.
He's got 2 in hand too. That could be dangerous here soon.
Yeah, Craig is not really pressuring Wildcard that much, and there is Subject 9,
Subject
always
9.
a sight for sore eyes. Drawing 5 secrets from the deck, always strong. Although Craig does have his one of a Freezing Trap in hand, so that Subject 9 will draw 4 cards. The Explosive Trap, Wandering Monster, and the one that summons a 2/3 poisonous Cobra when a minion is attacked, whose name escapes
the
me.
Venomous Strike.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Wild Card can play. No, he's going to go for the thing from below, maybe? He can play the Flame Wreath Faceless. No, he's going to play. Yes, he's going to go wide on board, it looks like. This is where he's going to start to put the pressure on Craig.
Yeah, I think that thing was a good choice. The overload would have made for another awkward turn. Craig's going to go ahead and clear with the
Hunter's Mark
and Candle Shot, which showing its strength there. Although, as Craig will find out shortly, there are a lot of choice targets in Wildcard's hand to remove, once those threats get online, I think that Craig's going to have a tricky time dealing with it.
Let's see. Wildcard has a couple options available to him. He can go ahead and hero power, play his second thing from below, and put that Flame Tongue Totem down and try to push some face damage.
Yeah, Flame Tongue's a good choice. I mean, one thing that he has to keep in mind are the secrets. He needs to play around them, so it looks like he's going to test for a secret right now, realizing it's not Explosive, Freezing, or Bear, which are common secrets in a list like this. And it looks like...
Now, positioning will be important where he plays that to take advantage later with that Flame Tongue Totem.
Absolutely.
This way he can trade off a minion and the next one slides down and gets the buff as well.
So Craig has a choice. He could opt to get his Eaglehorn Bow online or just tempo at Subject 9. Both seem like he's playing from behind a little bit. I think that Subject 9 might be the better choice. He can draw 4 secrets and get more consistent draws off the top of his deck. I'm really too sure what the Eagle Horn Bow would do other than clear a thing from below.
All
But
right, so that mad scientist drew him the explosive trap. So he's going to go ahead and equip the Eagle Horn Bow now. He didn't clear, so he's planning on getting the board clear from that secret.
Yep, not
Is what
terrible.
It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Wildcard kind of has to attack into this, and taking the board down to just the Flame Tongue certainly will help stave off some of that pressure. But you know, Wildcard's got a lot of threats in his hand. He's got the Sea Giant, the Flame Wreath, the Aya. You know, it's going to be an uphill battle for Craig to deal with those mounting threats. I'd like to see the Sea Giant come out before Wildcard makes the attack.
And wow, he just elects to pass the turn.
I'm not sure that was the best choice. I mean, you're going to have to play around those secrets eventually, and Craig's going to
clear this board up for the most part anyway, it looks like.
Yeah.
I'd probably attack. Well, yeah, you definitely want to attack into the thing from below first, maybe. No? Okay, he's going to use a quick shot. I was worried about it sliding over if he played Rexxar and getting the buff off the Flame Tongue.
Yeah, the bow still has to go into the stone, the taunt totem. I think that maybe Craig was thinking he could clear off those 2 big threats. You know, the quick shot clearing out the thing from below isn't that terrible, because when you think about the types of threats that the quick shot can deal with, the only other more choice target would be the Aya Blackpaw, and obviously Craig doesn't know that that's presently in Wildcard's hand.
Yes.
All right, so there's the explosive, which could have been triggered a turn earlier. You know, there are some really good follow-ups here, so it'll be interesting to see what Wildcard elects for.
He's probably playing around. I'm not sure. No, Craig is not running the one that does 4 damage to a minion when played Snipe, so that might have been why he played that Aya there.
Yeah, that's a common.
That as well to trigger.
That's a common secret, and the Snipe and Snake Trap was removed for those 2 Hunter's Marks and Candle Shots. So this list does run a few less secrets to get that more consistent removal.
And Craig's hovered over the Subject 9. He's holding it, thinking. He's gone ahead and played it out.
I like this. You know, it draws you 4 cards, which is never a bad thing, and makes it so that the draws that you'll be getting are a little bit more consistent. I mean, Subject 9 is the reason why one would run this deck and why Kathrina is not included, because Subject 9 is a beast.
Now, do you think the smarter play from Craig is going to be to clear that Flame Tongue, or do you think he needs to go ahead and get rid of the Aya?
I think the Flame Tongue's always dangerous. You know, Aya's going to generate another minion. He's going to have to deal with it eventually. But, you know, he's got some options to help with in the form of the Wandering Monster and the Venomous Strike. So I think that was the right choice.
Currently got the Cat Trick up still, and he's trying to decide on a secret. He is elected to go with the Wandering Monster. So Wildcard's attacking order here is going to be pretty relevant. You'll probably want to put the Jade in first before Aya to test for those secrets.
Yeah, I'd like to see Craig get that Rexxar up. I mean, I don't think he's going to be bursting Wildcard down at this point. He's going to need that value generation to deal with the tall boys from the Even Shaman. And that's never a position you want to be in with this Hunter list. I think he just wants to get maximum value off that Battle Cry.
So Wildcard safely develops another minion on board and clears Craig's. And he can... Possibly he could play that Sea Giant if he wanted. Looks like he's going to... No.
I think
you don't want to overload yourself too much.
Yeah. I think that Wildcard's electing to go wide out of not out of fear of secrets, but just to give them more options to play around them. And this board is certainly one that will threaten and allow for minions to test secrets. So I like the state Wildcards and still.
He's got a lot of pressure on board. He's got 11, 14, 15 damage incoming next turn, plus the 2 from the weapon. That's 17.
It is worth noting that Craig is grinding Wildcard down slightly. I mean, I don't want to diminish Wildcard's position at all, but Wildcard had a handful of threats. 2 Thing from Below's, the Flame Wreath, the Sea Giant, and now with this board developed, while Wildcard does have some options to reload, it's starting to thin out a little bit. So Wildcard looking to close this game out, but Craig is playing a very defensive game right now, and out of necessity. So again, if he can clear out the small minions and get the freezing trap online, maybe bait the Flame Wreath to get frozen. We're going to see the Rexxar come up.
Rexxar come down. And not to mention, Wildcard's going to be overloaded for 3 next turn as well. And did he get it in? Yes, he did. Okay, he's got it down to 2 threats.
I like this. He got a secret out, which threatens freezing trap. It's a wandering monster, so the 3/1 will probably attack into the monster, and leaving a secret up that Wildcard will know is not the freezing trap. Oh, he's going to use the Jade Claws to
trigger that secret.
Yeah,
which is probably the smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
And he clears up the minion on board that comes out of that secret. He's going to continue to develop board, it looks like. And he's going to swing for face.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Craig comes back from this one. Generally, this deck is quite explosive, the Secret Hunter list, and while Rexxar is an alternate win condition, it's a bit dicey, especially when dealing against wide board states like the one that Wildcard has developed.
Well, he doesn't find it. I'd say he's probably looking for something with Taunt and Lifesteal to try and draw in some attacks and gain some life back, but it doesn't look like he's got that. The Poisonous with Rush will clear a minion if he has enough mana to play it. His first pick was so fast, I missed it. Okay, that's the Tundra Rhino. And he didn't? Did he not pick the Poisonous? It doesn't look like it.
No, he took the Snow Flipper Penguin, just giving it +1/+1 and not increasing its cost.
So that will... He's going to clear the Eel, and he can clear the Jade Golem, it looks like, but he's still leaving quite a bit of threat on board.
Yeah, 10 mana with the Crackle could possibly be lethal, but that Freezing Trap will probably let Craig live to fight another turn.
And it's good. He's got the zombies, so when he plays the Animal Companion, he can have charge if Wildcard leaves that up.
I don't think there's a universe where Wildcard leaves this up. Craig played another secret. Wildcard has to test for it. It'll be interesting to see how this is sequenced, however.
Yes. He's going to go hit face to try and trigger. So the Totem Golem should go into the Zombeast, which is probably going to go back to hand with that Freezing Trap.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Totem Carver come down, with 3 totems. There's the potential to make it a 7/7, which is pretty good value, or maybe one of the Sea Giants before triggering the secret.
I mean, if he rolls that Crackle and gets the 7, that could be game.
I don't think Wildcard needs to gamble with this game. He pretty much has it locked up, and he will. Never mind that.
That's the way it's looking.
We see the Crackle, YOLO Crackle, and he's gonna high roll for 7.
For 7. Craig develops another minion, but it's pointless at this point. So it looks like Wildcard has gone up 1-0 with the Even Shaman versus the Secret Hunter.
Yeah, definitely favored in that matchup. Wild Card was in command that whole game, and we can see why the Even Shaman is one of the most feared and well-rounded decks that we see on ladder.
No. It'll be interesting to see if whether Craig sticks with that deck or he moves on to another choice.
Well, the Secret Hunter can high roll against the Starliner Druid, but to be honest, if I were Craig, I'd start thinking about choosing a deck that might line up better into the Starliner or the Odd Rogue. I want to see Control Warrior, I think. But it's tough because if he cues the Control Warrior into the Odd Rogue, he will probably pick up that win, but then he won't have very many good options for that Starliner Druid. So there's a lot of considerations to be made. It's really a tough choice. This really is a game of lineups and how they queue into each other. So what do you think, as I signal our two players to get into their next game, what do you think we're going to see this second game in the match?
I think Craig's going to go for the Dragon Reno Priest. That would be my prediction. And we'll say that Wildcard's going to save that Starliner Druid for last. But then that tips Craig to what he has, so he might want to run that out now. But I think we're going to see the Odd Rogue.
Okay, well, I sent the signal. It's tough. I really don't. I'm really worried to predict, but my gut tells me that we're going to see that Starliner Druid. So Craig will probably want to bring that Control Warrior. That's the matchup I think we're going to see, but my guess is as good as anyone's.
Because Wildcard doesn't want to telegraph or let Craig know that that'll be his last deck that he has an option for with that Control Warrior on the other side.
All right, so I sent the signal. I think they're just, there we go. I think maybe one of them had a brief technical difficulty, so we're getting into game 2 right away.
All right.
Oh, wow. And, Wildcard opting for that Odd Rogue, and Craig picking the right choice, Reno Priest into that Odd Rogue. Looking like a good matchup here for Craig, potentially. Getting that Kazakus in his opening hand, that's huge. Being able to make an AoE potion as soon as turn 4 will be big, but Wildcard getting some pretty good cards as well. That Hench Clan Thug, the South Sea Deckhand, so I think we got a bit of a game here.
All right, and we're underway. Probably look at seeing that Swashbuckler coming out. No.
We're going to see the more aggressive line with the deckhand, and Craig's got that Spirit Lash that will mop up any board should he opt to play it. Looks like we've got a third caster on as well. Apologies, but
oh yeah, that's my wonderful dog Potato in the background going crazy at the window.
Yeah, he's going crazy at the sight of seeing an Odd Rogue. I howl at the moon too when I see these decks as well.
Craig's gonna probably go ahead and weapon up here. No, that's Wildcard.
So that's interesting. He's opting to take a very aggressive line in developing the minion and the 3/2 dagger, setting himself up nicely for the Hench Clan Thug follow-up. And Craig opting to heal Wildcard, waiting for the light will burn you BM to follow it up. Nope.
Craig might be a little reserved with his BMs this week because he was pretty hard with them last week against Nate. So he's going to develop the board and swing face.
Yeah, Henchklein
Buff up
Thug,
that hench.
a really good choice to develop early. That is a scary minion if left unchecked.
Unchecked.
And Craig doesn't have an immediate answer for that Henchklein Thug. He's got a few choices as to what he can do. He's going to opt for Kazakus. Will he opt for a one mana potion or a
He's going
5?
for the 5. He's going for the
did.
5 mana, it looks like.
Yeah, and
he needs to look for a way to deal with that hench clan.
yeah, the 5 damage single target is probably going to be the cleanest way to remove it. Not getting the greatest choices here. Probably want to see the card draw or the freeze.
The freeze would be more relevant next turn because he could freeze the minions on board and stave off that incoming damage, and then he can entomb to remove it if he needs to later.
Yikes! And not a potion that I think Craig was hoping to get. Kazakus can low roll on occasion. It doesn't happen that often, but I think we've seen that situation here. Probably the 7 armor is his best choice out of the 3. Although he does have Reno, so he might be considering the freeze if he didn't take it last time. So we have the summon 2 friendly minions that died and gain 7 armor.
7 armor.
And that Hench Clan is going to continue to wreak havoc on board.
Yes, he's going to buff up the pirates. It looks like he'll probably swing his face into Kazakus.
Yeah.
He'll want to attack with the South Sea Deckhand first.
Oh, almost pulling a blue train there. I'm glad to see that Wildcard didn't make the mistake that I always make.
I make that as well, and I'm glad they changed patches. Save me because I used to always forget to attack with him first before I ended my turn when he was pulled out.
So this is a scary looking board. We have on the board next turn 3, 6, 12, 15. We have lethal. And I'm not sure that Craig is going to have much to deal with this board. He didn't get an AoE potion. You know, I think his only out here is to
armor up some.
I don't think that's going to be enough. I suppose it'll be just barely enough. But with that other South Sea captain and the dagger, I think that Wildcard might just have enough to put this away. Let's see. He'll get 3 from the dagger. If he plays the other captain, we'll have 7 with the South Sea. Another 4 is 11. If he attacks first, yeah.
He's presenting lethal. 4, 4, 16, 21. Exactly right on board right now.
Yeah, I think maybe Craig might have opted to try to dig out a Shadow Word Death from that Shadow Visions, but looks like Wildcard's gonna go ahead and yeah, burst out that deck with the Rogue. You know, even though that matchup is favored for the anti-aggro deck, the odd Rogue has an innate ability to steal games, and you know, showing why it's one of the premier aggressive decks in the format right now. If it draws right and the opposing deck doesn't have the immediate answers, it could just steal a game, as we saw right there. So Wildcard taking a comfortable 2-0 lead, and you know, he left that Starliner Druid for last.
So
you know, we
should see the Control Warrior here.
Yeah, and a potential sweep, although that Control Warrior is very well positioned to deal with the Starliner Druid. Any of the combo druids really, so I think Craig has to select that deck, and I think that unless Wildcard draws as well as he just did, Craig should be able to prevent the full sweep and force a fourth game, excuse me. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and signal our 2 players to get into game, and really curious to see how this one plays out. In chat, by the way, Craig is complaining about his Kazakus potion, of which I cannot blame him. I would be unhappy if that was my Kazakus potion. Didn't have any answers at all.
I'm not even following the chat. Let me pull it up.
So, you know, one thing that I struggle a little bit with this Control Warrior deck is that it really is tuned for combo disruption. It doesn't have the most tools to draw cards with. So if those Death Lords and Dirty Rats are buried at the bottom of the deck, it can whiff on those draws on occasion. I mean, you know, the armoring up is also helpful against the Starliner variant. So, you know, I think that there's a lot of tools here to prevent that 28 damage burst from occurring. It does look like we are getting into game here, so I'm going to cut over.
Wildcard is running 2 Ancient Brewmasters, so he can potentially push more than that. Just the 28. He can get to 44. And a little higher.
So we do see that Psych Melon in the opening hand. Something that always a happy sight with Aviana as well. I wonder if Wildcard's going to opt to ditch the Aviana out of fear for Dirty Rat. I suppose that Dirty Rat doesn't usually get played until after we see the melon. So,
and the strategy here for the Druid is if he sees the Death Lord, he's probably not going to want to interact with it at all. Craig will probably try to execute it on his own.
And that is a happy hand for Craig, a Dirty Rat and a Death Lord. So we're going to probably see that Death Lord come out on turn 2.
And he's got Coon in hand. Another Dirty Rat to Craig's hand.
All right, so the Hearthstone gods have decided that they didn't want to see us sweep here today. I shouldn't call the game for Craig just yet, but definitely he must be very happy to see those two Dirty Rats and Death Lord in tow.
Now, you don't want a Dirty Rat here because you pull out something too big, he doesn't really have a way to deal with it yet.
No, patience is the name of the game. I mean, you can't even take it for granted that he has a combo piece in hand. I mean, this deck is really strong, the Starliner Druid, but it is quite linear in its gameplay. You ramp, you melon, you OTK. So generally, you want to wait until that mid phase of trying to assemble the combo before you disrupt it. And that's why this deck, while strong, is not unbeatable. If you're familiar with the matchup, you can time your disruption if you have the tools, and Craig certainly does, and I think that's what we're going to see.
I'm pretty sure he's going to play the Death Lord on 3.
Yeah, I would have coined it out on 2. That's probably wrong, but I agree. I think that the Death Lord, if it's going to have an impact, it's going to be before the melon is played. You want that to trigger early. And Craig's hovering over it. Now the question is, you know, will Craig be able to kill his own Death Lord? Because as you stated correctly earlier, Shokunin, Wildcard didn't want to see that Death Rattle go off at all. So, you know, this is going to negate the armor gain at least for the next while if we can't trigger that Death Rattle.
I mean, he does have the 2 Ancient Brewmasters that can hit as well. He is running 2 Witchwood Pipers, so it can hit that too. Mm-hmm. But he's got 2 combo pieces in hand already, so.
But why risk it? I mean,
well, yes.
While it could pull Piper Brewmaster, it could also pull Aviana. So, you know, it's kind of.
And it's way too early for Psych Melon. It's looking like he's going to go ahead and give Craig some ramp as well. No, he puts it back.
You know, I don't think Biology Project's a terrible choice. I mean, with these slower decks, you know, what would Craig do with the extra mana?
Now here, Craig can go ahead and Warpath and execute and try to disrupt the combo.
Or Shield Slam and execute.
Yes,
that's
too.
A pretty ballsy play. I don't know if he's going to do it, but I don't know what's correct here. I want to say that, it's tricky because if he does pull out a big minion while he may disrupt the combo, he may not be able to deal with it. If he pulls out Aviana, for example, and can't kill Aviana, then Wildcard can Coon and potentially, if he draws another big minion, clear the board and put some pressure to bear. So Craig's gonna opt to take it slow and
He's going to
armor
wait
up
till
and
he has
go
enough
base.
honor to possibly deal with a threat he pulls out, it looks like. And that is probably the smarter play here.
I'm inclined to agree. It's tempting. The sheer threat of this deck can play tricks on you and force you to act before you're ready, and that could be fatal.
All right. We get a Ferocious Howl off the top of the deck. It's a good time for it. He's got enough cards in hand. There's not a lot of threats on board. He can just go ahead and armor up,
Draw a
hero
card.
power for an additional armor, and just stall out and wait.
What's the name of the game? Wildcard needs to be worried about Craig armoring up too much because if Wildcard executes the combo and Craig of Canada has accumulated a lot of armor, he won't be able to one turn KO. Follow that up with a brawl, and you could easily fatigue this deck after that point. So this is really the hardest, one of the hardest counters to Starliner.
That Naturalize is not going to do anything for him.
No, it's going to be another dead card.
He's going to go ahead and play this. No. He's got to worry about his hand size for when he plays Geodude.
Yeah.
Although he does have 2 of the combo pieces already, it should still put 3 more cards in his hand.
Ideally, ideally you don't want to overdraw when you play the melon or on your subsequent draw after. I've played on ladder before when I've had my opponent play a melon, have a full hand, overdraw, and then immediately concede. I don't believe Wildcard will do that, but having a clunky hand certainly does make this a little bit more difficult to manage.
There we go. Craig gets 7 more armor off that Dr. Boom. And he gets the ability, about every 4 to 5 turns, he might have a chance to get 7 more time.
Yeah, Dr. Boom, really strong card, especially in this matchup. Just going to rack up immense value over time with that hero power. And every turn that Craig gets more armor, he's just kind of putting that making Wildcard's job that much more difficult. Wildcard has 3 chances though to execute his game plan, and even if it doesn't happen here, I think that it's still going to be, from a series perspective, a difficult climb for Craig to come back.
And as expected, Wildcard does not interact with that Death Lord at all on his turn. He's going to make Craig clear that Scarab.
Omega Assembly is a really cool card from the new expansion and surprisingly pairs well with Dr. Boom. In this matchup, it probably won't see much play, but being able to put 3 mechs in your hand when you're low on resources is huge, and they all natively have Rush with Dr. Boom as well. So really nice addition to the Control Warriors toolbox.
I mean, based on Craig's hand size, I don't think he's going to want to hold that card till 10 mana. He's already got a lot.
Yeah, if he ever plays it at all.
So he's got a very nice healthy life total, being 1 off full health plus the 12 armor.
The 2 rats still in hand, ready to go when he feels it's time. And with a bigger base of mana, Craig could rat and deal with whatever threat comes out as well. So
there's the Bronze Beard. So we're going to see this pull an Ancient Brewmaster, or no, another Witchwood.
So I think we're seeing now, Craig's probably thinking maybe this might be the time to rat, because Melon's probably not going to ever get played.
If he had just one more mana, he'd be better off because he could brawl whatever comes out. He's gonna shield slam.
He's hovering.
He's
Here
gonna
comes the
dirty right.
rat. Oh, and there's the
Thank
coon.
you, Coon.
And there's
He
gonna
can
be the
shield
shield
slam it.
slam. Yeah.
Why did he shield slam it? Oh, because he's got the other one in his hand.
Yeah.
He's really trying to disrupt this combo, and
And
he's
he's
gonna
gonna
brawl.
brawl. Yeah. You know, there's the well played from Wildcard. I think Wildcard's gonna probably want to get into the next match where he's a little bit more favorable. Although he did survive the brawl with the Witchwood Piper. Now there's
Yep.
the concede.
So the control we're doing designed to Starliner Druid.
Yeah.
But he's still got a tough uphill battle with that Secret Hunter and that Dragon Reno Priest. I would probably if I were Craig, cue that Dragon Reno Priest because it can disrupt the combo as well. It's designed a little bit to counter that particular deck. I do remember when Tesmazet was talking about it on the Into the Wild podcast.
So when Spiral posted that hunter list on Twitter, he did mention that it seemed, for him anyways, to be quite effective against odd rogues and combo druids. So maybe Craig will heed his advice and cue the more aggressive deck into the druid. I've had mixed results myself. Spiral did take that hunter list to legend. I imagine that I am not piloting it optimally, for much to the surprise of anyone who's watching this cast. I think that Craig's going to opt for the hunter list. Call it a gut feeling. We'll see who's right. I'm going to go ahead and signal our two players to get into game and see if Craig can force it to a game 5, which is what I would like to see.
We've had quite a bit of game 5s in the season thus far.
I have only cast once where it didn't go to game 5, so I'm hoping that was a one-off and that this will go to game 5.
My match last week went to game 5 between Craig and Nate, so hopefully I'd like to keep that streak going.
Yeah, definitely does give an opportunity to see the different strategies that our players have brought. It always feels bad when you don't get to see all the decks that were brought in a given lineup.
All right, in typical fashion, just like last week, following Blizzard client has crashed, so we will have to reload on my end.
All right, we are getting into game. And
I'm still loading up, so.
Oh, and I think that maybe Craig brought the wrong deck on accident. He queued up a Paladin, which was not in his lineup. Could have just been a misclick and an honest mistake. This is a friendly league, so I'm sure that Wildcard won't hold it against him. I'm just going to message them to see what happened there. Just asking if that was a misclick.
Well, that was very fortunate because it gives my client time to load.
Yeah, maybe this is a happy accident for yourself, Shakunin, but looks like they're getting into game now. Just a little bit of a mistake. There we go. There's the Hunter going into the Starliner Druid. Again, you know, if Craig found this deck list the same place that I did from Spiral's Twitter, heeding Spiral's advice that this lines up pretty well into the Druid. It will be interesting to see if that functions in practice for Craig as it did for Spiral. All right, so a pretty nice opening for Craig. Secret Keeper into Eaglehorn Bow, along with the tracking. Wildcard did get the Melon in his opening hand again, and I don't think that we're going to see Wildcard have to hold on to cards as much as he did in the last game. So, you know, likely we will see that Melon come out, if not on curve, then shortly thereafter.
And he's got the swipe in hand, so he's got some removal.
Yeah. Craig has to close this game out as quickly as possible. This is not a game where you can grind out your opponent. So we're going to want to
he's
see
gonna
him. Sorry.
want to be overly aggressive here.
Yep.
As aggressive as he can be.
And, you know, he has the hand to do it so far. Eagle Horn bow on turn 3. And, you know, following up with a potential tracking. He's just going to want to hit as much damage as he can every single turn to try and blow this game out.
And wild card wisely going to the face because he knows he can clean up that potential. Next turn with the swipe. So is Craig going to hedge his bets and go 2 on it?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the worst option in the world because of the swipes. I'm not sure if Eagle Horn would have been the better choice. I really don't know. I really couldn't say. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I think given the cards that Wildcard has, this definitely was the better option to try to develop another minion.
Yeah, he's going to coin out so he can naturalize that other. No? Oh, he coined that out on 3. My mistake.
So just to review, we have the Venomous Strike and the Freezing Trap. So I think Cat Trick would probably be the best choice here for Craig. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Wildcard's not going to play much on board that he's going to be interacting with a lot of these secrets anyway. As far as the Freezing Trap and the Venomous.
Yeah, he's really got to get that bow down next turn and start leveraging that damage. This is going to be tough. Wildcard has got a pretty decent hand full of tools. So I'd like to see everything go face. Looks like Craig is going to oblige.
And 2 more with the hero. Oh no, he goes ahead and takes
trade.
out the Witchwood Piper. He's trying to preserve that minion. He should have probably pushed as much face damage as possible.
I agree. If he really wanted to take it out, he could have Hounds and Hunters marked. I don't even think that would have been worth it necessarily. But we'll see if that choice is rewarded. This will bring out the Cat Trick and put an extra charge on the bow. So Craig, you know, keeping that pressure up. A nice tracking. Definitely a good card to draw to give the optimal threat to push the most damage.
Let's see what he gets. His options: 2 Animal Companions and the Spellstone. Animal Companion is probably the one to go with there since he has nothing to activate the Spellstones with right now. Come on, Huffer.
Yeah,
there we go.
Always Huffer.
Always Huffer. All to the face, Craig. Plus the 2 from the hero power.
So Hunter putting the Druid on a clock. You know, we're gonna have to see something from Wildcard to stabilize here. Hunter showing why it lines up pretty well into that Druid. I mean, game's not over yet, so but you know.
Has no branching paths, no Ferocious Howl, no way to develop more armor. He's threatening lethal.
I think that Craig heeded Spiral's advice and is being rewarded. He did ease off the pressure a little bit to clear the board, but forced out the swipe, which brought out the Cat in the Hat.
I mean, we're pretty much looking to game 5. I'm pretty confident saying that right.
Yeah, you know, if there was a branching paths or another Ferocious Howl, might be a bit different, but you know, the Hunter just doing what it does, just having that explosive opening and leaning in with that hero power.
I'm really gonna have to build this deck and try this out on ladder here this next week.
I really like the Candle Shot and the Hunter's Marks in Spiral's list over the extra secrets. I think it just gives it that little bit of an edge that allows it to act on its game plan a little bit more effectively. So so forcing a game 5. Well played by Craig, choosing his lineup quite wisely here. Although I must say that this is probably going to be Craig's toughest matchup yet. It's kind of do or die. He needs to draw the Dirty Rat and Bran, hopefully, as early as
He
possible.
Well, he does have some additional tools. Deck. The Dead Ringer allows him to pull a Death Rattle minion, so if he doesn't have the Death Lord in his hand, he can pull that, and also that allows you, of course, you'll get Blood Mage Thalnos, but that's some more card draw to allow you to get to some of those other pieces.
Well, I did signal that they can start game 5 when they are ready. So for those who might be tuning in late, we're going to see a Starliner Druid versus Tesmazet's Reno Dragon Priest. And here we go,
We're
game 5.
all tied up 2-2. This is the winner takes all match here.
Absolutely. Oh,
Craig
wow,
does
and
that
there
Dirty Rat
is
in
the
the opening
Dirty
hand.
Rat and
So
Kazakus.
you usually mulligan pretty hard for the Dirty Rat in this deck. He'll probably get rid of the Twilight Acolyte and the Kazakus anyway. They're not going to do him much good in this matchup. He really wants to find that Death Lord. Everything to disrupt the combo.
Absolutely. Bran as well would obviously pair well with
Bran
Dirty
is a
Rat.
very good pull.
Kazakus, I guess what's Kazakus going to do in this matchup, though? I mean, you know, the problem with the Priest is that you have a capped life total at 30, so, you know.
About the only thing I can see it doing for him is some card draw and maybe some additional armor. Now, if Wildcard is smart, he's not going to interact with that Cleric to allow Craig to draw any more cards. Unless he takes it out outright on turn 4.
Definitely.
Potion of Madness is definitely just going to be a dead card in Craig's hand here.
So there we have it. Northshire Cleric has seized the board on turn 1 for the rest of the game. Crickets.
Craig definitely does not want to use that, or Wildcard doesn't want to use that Naturalize and allow the Priest any more card draw.
Absolutely not. There we see the Twilight Guardian. Unfortunately, no Dragon Activator. Even if Craig doesn't get a Dragon Activator, I think it might just be best to huck it out on turn 4 just to establish more of a board presence.
Board presence, definitely.
You don't always have to get full value out of your cards. Sometimes just tempoing things out is the better play. Although Craig could always opt for Kazakus to develop that card draw as well. So a few choices.
Now that's the card he wants in his hand there, the Shadow Word Pain, because he can kill his own Death Lord should he draw it.
Or if he rats out an enemy Bran, he can use that to mop up Bran as well. Bran being a key piece in the Starliner combo. So it looks like Craig is going to opt for the 5-mana combo. I'd like to see him take the card draw here, or the 7 armor, I suppose. Summon 2 friendly might not be the worst choice in the world if Wildcard starts top to remove minions. I don't think maybe the Polymorph would be good with Rat as well. Some different options depending on how Craig wants to execute his game plan. I think the Polymorph might be the better choice, actually, considering he doesn't have any removal other than the Entomb.
Yes, I do, because that'll allow him to play Bran and...
But it doesn't really pair well with the card draw. If you took the card draw, that's proactive, and the Mystic Wool is reactive. So it looks like Craig did opt for the draw and poly. So the question is, will Craig use this to draw cards or save it as a removal tool? Or try to get full value?
Armor. Yeah. 2 choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured it'd be all armor gain. There's no
don't need any more. Yeah, don't. Oh,
so
wow.
Now he's got the Bran and the Dirty Rat. And he'll be on turn 10 first.
This is certainly a position that Craig wants to be in with this deck. He has almost the maximum amount of disruption that this Reno Priest can bring to bear. I think at this point, though, the Twilight Guardian's the best play. I don't think Craig's really in a rush to draw cards. He kind of has almost everything you'd want to see in hand right now. I think at this point, just pressuring wild card might be the best play. I'm gonna opt to heal instead. I guess that's okay too. Maybe the mind game here is that, the more resources Wildcard has in hand that he doesn't want to waste on these small minions, the clunkier his hand gets.
And Wildcard's hand is getting pretty full. I mean, he plays that Witchwood Piper. It's going to draw another minion in his hand. He's got the Psych Melon, but he can't really play it yet because he'll overdraw.
Yeah, it's funny. Every single time that Wildcard had Psych Melon, he never had an opportunity to play it. Interesting point to note. I can't imagine that's it must be a little frustrating. And also for those that are running Ultimate Infestation in their combo druid, in their Starliner druid, this is exactly why you do not want to run Ultimate Infestation. If you can't play Psych Melon, how are you going to play Ultimate Infestation and Psych Melon? Anyways, little rant there.
There he goes.
Yeah.
The Cleric is probably the correct play there because you don't want to give any more card draw. So he's got the activator for the Dustbreaker that he's never going to need.
Yeah, I would still like to see that Twilight Guardian come out. I would have liked to see it last turn.
Twilight Guardian and Hero Power the face. That way you're full health. Trying to maintain a good life total.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to do here.
Push 3 more damage. I mean, and we get a Biology Project, so it's going to go ahead and play Malfurion.
Yep. Gold Malfurion. Probably going to go for Scarabs.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went for the Poisonous, just to clear those minions.
Normally I would say that Poisonous would be the better choice, but with all the AoE that the Priest has, I think maybe this is one of those times where Scarabs might have been better. I'm a Spiders gamer, but
he's going to like to draw some card. I would. Well, he doesn't want to damage his own minions with that. He could Entomb.
No, he wants to save that for a choice target. I mean, putting that in Wildcard's deck's not the worst thing in the world. It's kind of like the last thing you'll probably want to draw. I don't know when else it'll get played either.
Just a little more added disruption, though, delaying.
I mean, really, this game is coming down to, Wildcard trying to assemble his combo and asking Craig the question, can you disrupt it? And, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this. Even though Craig's got the Bran and the Dirty Rat and maybe the Zola by the time it comes up, that's no guarantee that he's actually going to fully disrupt the combo, which is so frustrating about this. So, Craig might be thinking he's sitting in a favorable position, and he is, but this is by no means a fait accompli.
No, and those 2 Naturalizes, those are just dead cards in his hand at this point. Unless he can make Craig overdraw, which may be something he elects to do the next turn or so if Craig doesn't play out a bunch of minions or play anything from hand, really.
Not sure what he would play.
The Dustbreaker is going to take out his own Kazakis. He'll probably... he can Hero Power his face. I hope he's going to Hero Power. He's going to preserve the life total on Kazakis.
Yeah, I think that Wildcard will definitely want to make Craig overdraw. Yeah.
Definitely mill some cards now.
Oh, or not.
Well, no. If he kills the minion, he can't. Oh, interesting. I'm going to have to ask him that in post-game.
So...
he had the opportunity to mill 2 cards only.
Still, I mean, one of those could be Dirty Rat.
Plus the 1 draw. So that would have been 3 total cards there he could have milled off.
So I wonder what Wildcard's line of play here is. He's probably thinking about playing the Witchwood Pipers, but if he does that, he'll be given away that, he's got combo. I think we just see Anduin get slammed down here. I mean, Ysera would be a fine choice too, I suppose. I just think with Anduin, oh, is
We're
this going to
going.
be the rat? Are we going in rat? I guess we
I
are.
think we're a turn early on this, but okay.
Maybe Craig is worried that turn 9, you know, with Aviana. Oh, wow. And getting lucky there. He could have pulled out 2 Pipers instead, although not
He
being
puts
able
the
to...
damage. The damage on those 2 minions pretty much just combo.
Yeah, he's got the
Because
Mystic Wall next turn as well.
you need him to be at
Oh,
7 health. He can bounce one of those back to his hand.
he can bounce the Coon back, which is what I would encourage him to bounce
He's going to
back.
Witchwood Piper. Oh, I thought he was going to Witchwood Piper to find the other one. He doesn't have enough mana to make it happen.
So he can clear the Duskbreaker and just start going face for 7. Craig will probably opt to Shadow Reaper or Entomb next turn, but
Yeah. Another question, do you probably use the swipe here to clear the board?
I think so.
He could push some additional damage with the hero because he could Biology Project. They're both at 10, so it has no downside now.
Yeah. I think
And he could've
Shadow Reaper here is probably his best option, especially now with Reno.
See, now, if you remember the order the cards came out, if he'd have played those 2 naturalizes, that Reno would have been milled.
Yep. And at this point, Craig's used enough resources that on the last turn, naturalizing the Duskbreaker wouldn't have milled either.
So there goes 1 Starliner and the Ancient Brewmaster.
So does this list run 2 Ancient Brewmasters? I don't
His list
recall.
does run 2 Ancient Brewmasters in it. He has 1 more.
So
he can still potentially pull the combo.
Yeah, with Bran, Starliner, and Brewmaster, still a lot of damage. Well, this game 5 certainly not disappointing.
No, it has definitely been exciting. And he's assembling. He's going to assemble most of this combo without ever playing Psych Melon, and he's got 2 of them in hand.
Could we see this being the dawn of the age where Starliner Druid forgoes Psych Melon the way Big Priest forgoes Barnes? I doubt it, but it's funny to muse, to think about the possibilities.
It's just so easy to use to draw your combo. Now he's hovered over that potion.
I'd save the
Draw
potion.
hard.
He doesn't. I guess.
Now here, interesting because you can, if he,
Oh, I would save that for Bran.
yeah, because he's going to go ahead and play Reno out. I was going to say if he potions, Wildcard can take advantage of those naturalizes because Craig would have 2 additional cards in his hand.
Light Bomb. Destroying a minion 5 or more.
I think Shadow Word.
Probably.
Oh, opting
Went
for
for the
the
divine
heal.
him for the health.
Yeah, okay.
Which I can see that. That puts him back up to a healthy life total, and he clears the board off.
Yeah, I don't think the other 2 cards would have done much at this point. I mean, he's not going to... He doesn't have any more disruption, really, so the minions aren't going to come out until the combo gets executed.
The Death Lord is the only one he has left, and most everything is in Wildcard's hand, it looks like.
Yeah, you know...
He's at 10 cards, so that'll put him back when he plays that, plus the armor, so he'll have to play something. It'll probably be the Swipe.
Craig got really lucky with his disruption, but the Brewmaster showing its utility, double Brewmaster being a bit of a mitigation to some of the disruption. You know,
He's able to get that Coon back to his hand.
the Warrior
Now, he did lose the 1 Starliner.
It's true.
So the max he's going to be able to do is 28.
This is the problem with the Reno Priest. It has 1 Dirty Rat, whereas the Reno Warlock has a Dirty Rat and the Project, and the Warrior is able to run double rats. So, you know, you are kind of playing a little bit more on the edge. And here we're going to see the Ysera going to try to start putting some pressure on.
I have a feeling that Naturalize will come down on Ysera. See if he gets anything worthwhile for damage out of that. Well, there's a decent card. He can do 5 additional damage.
You know, I just think that the Reno Priest is too passive to pull this out. You know, Wildcard's going to have all the time in the world to assemble his second go at the Starliner combo. And we're going to see the Melon get played, which will draw a Starliner. I think that's it.
And Aviana.
And Aviana.
So he's got the combo in hand. Krieg is at 23, so he can put next turn. He can hero power and put him down to 20. Craig can heal to 30 with Reno Jackson.
So he's got Bran, he's got Starliner. That's 14 with the Brewmaster. That's 28.
Well, does he have? Yep, he has Medivh. Okay.
I think that despite that big disruption turn, I think that Wildcard is getting to a place where he'll be able to just blow out this game with the combo, showing why in a Dirty Rat heavy meta, 2 Brewmasters may not be the worst choice in the world.
Definitely showcasing that card in this matchup. I just don't see how Craig gets. So he heals back up to 30.
Yeah, knowing that 28 potential damage could be coming his way.
Could be the magic number. But with that hero power and the one from the Staff of Atiesh there, that's an extra 4 damage incoming.
And the hero power,
so that'll be enough to close it out.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to see it right now.
Yep.
Wow, what a heartbreaker. You know,
yes.
Double Dirty Rat was just not enough to pull it out.
Nope.
Unbelievable. This deck is ridiculous. And we're seeing why. You know, even if you tech heavily against it, it's no guarantee that you're going to actually be able to stop it. And there we have it.
Brewmaster on the Starliner.
It's going to put him down to 2, and then with the hero power, we got it. Wildcard is going to take the series, but you know, Craig almost reverse swept here. You know, making this a show for us.
He definitely did go down swinging.
Unfortunately, the Starliner Druid, the Starliners come to port, and Wildcard's going to take that series 3-2.
All right,
wow.
See if we can get them on a call for post game.
Absolutely. Gonna message them right now. I'm sure that they will be more than willing to speak with us.
That last game was the most exciting, I'm sure.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and open up the line to Wildcard and Craig Canada. So stand by, Shokunin. I'm going to be right back. Okay. We got Shokunin. Looks like we got Wildcard. Welcome.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thank you, guys.
And Craig's still ringing. Hopefully he'll be able to join us shortly. Good game there. We thought you had it in the bag with the sweep, but Craig of Canada decided to make you work for it.
He did. He did. That top deck of the Brewmaster, I assume just won me the game. Or, I mean, if I don't draw that Brewmaster, I'm kind of screwed, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot going on there.
No, that won you the game. He would have been able to clear on the following turns. So, double Brewmaster, showing why that's a viable option for Starliner Druid in a Dirty Rat heavy meta.
Oh, and that was the thing. It's like, I knew since he was playing Reno there's a rat in there somewhere, and I have not played well with this deck at all, and I think it's because I just showed my hand too early all the time. So my plan was to I figured the most he could have is 30. I just got to OTK him on one shot, just not let him know what I have, and then he double brand ratted, and I props to Craig. It takes a lot to rattle, like to actually get me to swear out loud at the game, but man, did I.
Well, that's a victory in itself then.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
If I can make someone swear, I'm happy.
Congratulations. Hey, Craig made me lose my cool. Good game, man.
Good game.
Yeah. Hey, so Craig, I thought that you chose your lineup very wisely. You picked a deck that countered every single one of Wildcard's decks. You had the Reno Priest into the Shaman, although it didn't queue that way. You had the Warrior for the Starliner Druid, and you had the Hunter for the Rogue. But the Hunter also, did you get that list from Spiral's Twitter?
I believe, where did I get that list from? I want to say I got it from Twitter, but I can't remember exactly where. I think it might have been from Team One Trick, though. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, because Spiral posted that list yesterday or the day before. I've been playing it on ladder, and he commented in his Twitter that the deck lined up quite well against Druid and Rogue. So the fact that that Wildcard had both of those decks in his lineup, I thought that was a good choice, and I thought that was a great game where you really showed the pressure that the Secret Hunter could bear on Druid, closing that game out by turn 7.
Yeah, that was.
And I just looked and I did get it from Spiral, so thank you, my friend.
Yeah, that was nuts. Like I didn't like when he queued I totally thought the Reno Priest would be the next deck, not the Hunter as the fourth game. And I thought, oh, cool. I got a better chance against the Hunter. And then it was just like he just snowballed so well into everything, and suddenly it was like, holy crap, I'm almost out of health. What happened? That thing rolled really fast.
Yeah, it's a very bursty deck.
The 2 Secret Keepers in the beginning of the game were pretty great.
Yeah. And getting Huffer helped too. Always Huffer.
Yeah, always
Huffer. So those were good games. I'm not gonna lie, I was tilting. I messed up. Okay, first of all, that Kazakus potion that I got offered was pretty garbage, but I also misplayed. I should have grabbed the freeze. I thought the 7 armor would be enough. Looking back, immediately after, I was like, oh, and then of course you had South Sea Deckhand to close it out.
Yeah, I got lucky with that pirate synergy, and that's the whole thing. I'm terrible at math, so that's why I was like, I messaged you like to apologize to make sure you know I wasn't roping, but like even in the last game, like I was doing the math like 3 times in my head because there's so many times I'm just so bad with math where it's like I go and I'm like I got lethal and I'm like, oh wait, no, I was off by 1, like I just that's certainly my struggle in any game, is that just I need to calculate stuff out like 3 times, make sure I'm right.
Yeah, I was really hoping that I would hit your Bran or your Aviana off of that double Bran Dirty Rat into Dusk Speaker, but no, you played that great, returning it to your hand. I don't think you attacked me though before you returned it to your hand. I might be wrong there, so I'm gonna call you out on a misplay.
Oh yeah. Oh no, there are lots of them. I'm surprised that was the only one anybody noticed. I'm surprised I didn't like miss lethal with the Druid at some point in the last game, or who knows. But
one of the interesting things I saw in the game, the last game you played Wildcard, when Craig's hand was pretty much full around turn 7 or 8, he had 8 cards in hand, and you had the potential to mill him with those naturalizes just sitting in your hand. What you couldn't see on our end is, had you done that, you would have milled his Reno.
Huh. Okay. Wow. No, I did consider that for a second with I can't remember what card he had out there, but it's like I think he had 8 cards in hand, and I was like, I don't want to give him 2 and burn 1. That's not a good value trade.
No, it's not.
Yeah. You would have burned 3 because you'd have gave him 2 to fill his hand. You'd have milled 2, and then his next draw on his next turn, you would have milled another card.
So he would have milled me 1.
Yeah. But if somebody Reno told me that 1 was Reno, I would have totally done it.
It would have
and Reno
would have gone. Go ahead.
Well, no, he would have made me draw 2 cards, right? But then I would have only milled 1.
No, because he had 2 naturalizes, so your hand would have been full.
Oh,
Oh,
Then he
yeah.
would have played it again.
Yeah, yeah.
But
okay,
what-
yeah. So then you're right.
how many
But to be
minions were on the
fair,
board? Were there more than was there more than 1 minion on the board at the time? Like, what was it? Kazakus and
Northshire.
Was it?
You
Were there?
got- It was later on. You had your Witchwood Piper on the board.
Oh, so he could have killed his own man. Yeah,
Killed
but
it.
to be
Okay.
fair,
Okay.
to be
okay.
fair, Reno Jackson didn't end up helping me in the game. I thought maybe I could get out of it. I wasn't sure what exactly how it was gonna work, but I should have figured he had a. I guess it wouldn't have mattered if you played. Were you playing Floop too, or just
No,
playing
I don't run
Inter
Floop in my
Brewmaster?
deck. No.
Yeah, so
The only thing he'd probably be wanting to mill there is your Death Lord, so you couldn't disrupt any more combo from his deck if he didn't have it in hand.
yeah, the 2 Witchwood Pipers is spicy. I like that. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, I actually got that idea from Saucy Mailman, running the double Witchwood. So it's working out so far because it draws you.
Oh, yeah.
It
Double.
doesn't just draw you, brand. It draws you your backup, your brewmaster, so that when something gets brought out of your hand, you can bring it back.
It's
Hopefully,
a new meta: double Piper, double Panda.
yeah, for sure. Because it's like that deck is like it's a good deck, but my win rate's around 50% with it because I get countered so hard. It's
And
just like-
Wildcard, you'll get to hear me tilting on Into the Wild this week because we were still recording during our game, so they got to hear it all. They're still going right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Multitasking.
I just want to say, guys, great game. I have to go because I had to mute my mic to do this real quick. So great game. Follow me, Craig of Canada. Follow our show Into the Wild and Wildcard. Those were exceptional games. I'm just happy you didn't 3-0 me because that's where I thought it was going to go.
Oh no, never. I'll never 3-0 anybody. I promise.
Thanks for hopping
All
on,
right,
Craig.
thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Now, wild card.
Yeah.
When I was talking to you before the match, you were a little worried about your lineup. You weren't too happy with the even shaman because you weren't successful on ladder with it.
No, I've been terrible lately. Actually, I sent Nate a text about it. Because before today, like the last couple days, I've gone 0-6 with even shaman, 3-11 with Starliner, and 2-7 with Odd Road. Like I've just been collapsing, just stuck at the rank 5 floor. So I didn't have a lot of confidence coming in with these 3 decks. I've been practicing with them, but just I don't know what's going on. And unfortunately, like I got that out of my system early, maybe, and then it didn't carry over into the game, or maybe like my concentration level was better during the games. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. It's one of those weird things, and everybody goes through it, or you just can't buy a win, and then.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. I feel like I'm in the same boat as you. I'm in Slump Town myself. It's just been one loss after another. I do think that with the even shaman, you did opt to run Hex. I'm not sure that's the most optimal choice. Maybe that might help if you opt for slightly different spells in your even shaman. But
the reason I run that is just it's like I find that even shaman has a hard time dealing with big minions if you don't have a good size, if you don't have board. And also, I mean that's something that's my ladder deck. But I thought he was going to bring Big Priest, so I didn't change that out. I thought when I saw he had Priest, I totally was like Big Priest, and I should have realized Reno's the much better choice when he knows I'm playing Druid. That now, of course, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that
But,
makes a lot of sense. Trying to target that matchup, so yeah, that certainly would help if you queued into that. Most definitely, which makes sense then why you opted to start with it as well, because you wanted to target that priest as quickly as possible. Very
I just
interesting.
didn't want to start with the druid. That was the thing, because I knew he was going to target my druid, and he certainly did. And as soon as I thought, maybe he runs Pirate Warrior, but if he knows I'm running a druid, that warrior's probably control. And I messaged him during the game. I was told him I was going to eat my hat if it was an aggro game, and it wasn't. So I was like, my hat's safe. But yeah, it's just I mean that and the warlock definitely are counters to the druid. But I don't know. I mean, did you guys think I conceded at the right time, or should I try to play the warrior game out a little bit more against the
Nah,
druid? I mean, I
the
think it was over.
warrior game was over just because he would have generated more armor than you could deal with. I think
Yeah.
that was correct, and
Okay.
knowing that you'd get into a much more favorable game down the line, I was more surprised at the hunter. I've been playing that exact hunter list on ladder, and my experience with it, although I'm probably piloting it suboptimally, is that it's a bit of a crapshoot against druid. If you don't close the game out by turn 7 or 8, you're done. And Craig was able to get that double secret keeper, a few other tools. The cat in the hat was really well timed when you swiped, which just put an extra 4 damage on the board. So
And I think at the time I thought about that too. Like, I think one of these is cat, and I was like, well, I need to get rid of the secret keeper more than the cat. So it's a damned if you do, you're damned if you don't kind of thing, maybe.
I thought you did a pretty good job of playing around the secrets, especially with the shaman list. I mean, no one wants to flame wreath into a freezing trap, and you avoided that. So that was well done.
I forgot to talk about that when Craig was on. Still, like that was so tense. That was one where I messaged him just to let him know I didn't rope him, because I was like, I was mathing that so hard, and I was like, okay, and then what if this is freezing trap? I got like there was so much to that last play, and I just was like, okay, crap, I gotta go, I gotta do this, and I think like I made an audible like scream like when right as I was doing my moves, because I was like, oh crap, this is it. I hope I hope Crackle rolls right. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, that Crackle high rolled for 7 in that game.
Did it? Okay, yeah, I just saw it blow up and I was like, whew.
Yeah, you got him. All right, so I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap there, unless Shokunin, you had any other questions for Wildcard.
No, I think we've covered it all.
So before we wrap up,
congratulations for you to taking the win there, Wildcard.
Thank you. Yeah, I only get the last guy to get in the win column, I think. Although in all fairness, I had a bye, so.
Oh.
So technically, it's 2. A win's a win, right?
Win. Yep.
So before we go, Wildcard, anything that you want to shout out or promote before we split?
Yeah. Okay, you can find me on Twitter at WildcardHearth. You can find me streaming on the weekends. Probably not this weekend. I got an article to work on this weekend, but for sure, almost for sure next weekend, I would assume. But yeah, you can find me at Wildcard Hearthstone on Twitch, and YouTube is at Wildcard, or just regular Wildcard. Good luck finding me under Dane and Control videos and whatnot. I doubt I'll ever get to the 100 subscribers that is necessary to get a actual Wildcard YouTube. But anyway, there's a couple of videos there from highlights from my streams, and then I'm working. I submit articles to 3 different places: wildhs.com, Team Rankstar, which I haven't put an article out for them. There's probably going to be one this week.
Nice.
This is the one I'm working on right now this weekend, so I should be finishing that up. I've been super busy at work. That's kind of when I try to write my articles. So, and then of course Into the Wild, I've got an article up there somewhere.
Hopefully, no one from work is listening.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, because then I would have a Hearthstone buddy at work. Well, cool. Yeah, thanks guys for casting this. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Any shout outs for yourself, Shokunin?
Just if you want to follow me, I'm at Shokunin_HS on Twitter. That's SHOKUNIN_HS. And it was a pleasure to cast your match, Wildcard.
Thank you.
So before we close the stream, if there's anyone still spectating, just a reminder that in 90 minutes, the Team One Trick brawl is going to start, which is going to be really cool. So I would encourage everyone to check that out. Otherwise, this will wrap it up for week 3. Week 4 will be starting. Looks like the schedule is still being built out. Next posted match is Friday, September 14th, but I think that we're likely going to see a match as early as Monday. So stay tuned on Twitter so you can be kept aware of when the next Into the Wild League match will take place. Till then, congratulations on your win wild card. Sorry, you were going to say?
No, I was going to say, yeah, because also this is the this upcoming week is the special deck lists as well, back to the restrictions. So that should be pretty interesting. I think that's probably why people aren't scheduling yet. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do and what they want to play.
Yes, the last deck restriction week was really interesting. I had a lot of fun watching those games, and I'm looking forward to seeing some variety. Spoiler alert: there may be a lot of pinatas in decks, so stay tuned for that. Until then, wish you all a great day, and thanks for tuning in. Take care, everyone.
Take care.